Imagine standing in front of a problem so big that everyone else has already given up. It's loud, it's intimidating, and every voice around you is saying, "This can't be done." That's where this story begins. The story of David and Goliath is one of the most well-known stories in the Bible, not because of strength or size, but because it shows us something deeper. It reminds us that courage, faith, and belief can overcome even the greatest challenges. At this time, the people of Israel were at war with a powerful enemy called the Philistines. The two armies stood on opposite sides of a valley, facing each other day after day. But instead of fighting, the Philistines sent out a single warrior to represent them. His name was Goliath. Goliath was a giant, over 9 feet tall. He wore heavy armor made of bronze, and he carried weapons so large they looked impossible to lift. His presence alone struck fear into the hearts of Israel's soldiers. Every morning and every evening, Goliath stepped forward and shouted at the Israelite army. He challenged them to send out one man to fight him. If their fighter won, the Philistines would surrender. But if Goliath won, Israel would become their servants. Day after day, no one stepped forward. The soldiers were afraid. Even King Saul, the leader of Israel, was terrified. The entire army stood frozen, listening to the giant's voice echo across the valley. Then one day, a young boy named David arrived at the battlefield. David wasn't a soldier, he was a shepherd. His father had sent him to deliver food to his older brothers who were fighting in the army. As David approached the camp, he heard Goliath shouting his challenge. But instead of fear, David felt something else. He couldn't understand why everyone was so afraid. He asked the soldiers around him why no one was willing to stand up to this man. They told him Goliath had been a warrior his entire life, trained for battle, and nearly unbeatable. David listened, but he didn't agree. He believed that no one, no matter how big or powerful, had the right to intimidate others. He trusted that the same God who had helped him protect his sheep from lions and bears would help him now. Word of David's confidence reached King Saul, who called him in. Saul looked at David and saw only a boy, young, untrained, and inexperienced. He told David he wasn't ready for such a battle, but David calmly explained that he had faced danger before, and each time, God had helped him overcome it. Reluctantly, Saul agreed. He offered David his own armor, hoping it would protect him. But the armor was heavy and uncomfortable. David tried to walk, but he couldn't move freely, so he took it off. Instead, David chose what he knew. He picked up his staff. He grabbed his slingshot, and he selected 5 smooth stones from a nearby stream. That was all he carried as he walked toward the giant. When Goliath saw David approaching, he laughed. He mocked him, insulted him, and cursed him. To Goliath, this wasn't a fight, it was an insult. But David didn't respond with anger or fear. He spoke with confidence. "You come at me with sword and spear," David said, "but I come at you in the name of the Lord Almighty, whose army you have defied." Then David ran toward the giant. He placed a stone in his sling, swung it with skill, and released it. The stone flew through the air and struck Goliath in the forehead. The giant stumbled, then fell face down to the ground. The battlefield went silent. The giant was defeated. When the Philistines saw that their champion was gone, they panicked and ran. The Israelite army rose with confidence, chased him away, and won the battle. But this story is about more than a victory in war. It's about perspective. Everyone else saw a giant and felt fear. David saw the same giant and felt faith. He didn't rely on size, strength, or weapons. He relied on belief, courage, and trust. The story of David and Goliath reminds us that we all face giants in our lives. They may not be physical, but they feel just as real. Fear, doubt, failure, rejection, challenges that seem too big to overcome. Like David, we may feel unqualified, too small, too inexperienced, but this story teaches us that our limitations do not define our future. Thousands of years later, this story still speaks to us. It reminds us that you don't need to wait until you feel ready. You don't need to be fearless. You just need to take the first step. Because sometimes, the greatest victories begin with a single act of courage. And sometimes, the giant standing in your way is no match for the strength within you.